What could be better than enjoying a ride around the enormous bulk of Mount Snowdon? Starting from Caernarfon, join the A4085, which will take you into the foothills. As you crest the hill having passed Raidu, make sure you glance up left over the mountain's flanks and you should be able to spot the Summit Cafe. Copyright if it's a clear day. Having arrived in Beige Alert, head left along the A498 and left again for a different perspective of the summit, this time being more jagged and triangular, and set amongst a horseshoe of cliffs. Once at Penwygard, turn left and you will ride through Llanberis Pass. It is here, at Penwy Pass, which marks the start of Mount Snowdon's most popular hiking routes. From here it's a pleasant ride downhill to Llanberis and back to Caernarfon. Tail Lap of Snowdon is just a little taster of what this area has to offer. You can easily extend the ride by heading to Betws on the A4086 and the A5. From this beautiful, but busy town you have a couple of great options if you want to return to Caernarfon. You can take the A470 to Blaenau-Festiniog over the Crimea Pass and enjoy the faster road with the dramatic slate-stone scenery. Or you can carry on a little further east on the A5, then take a should adventure bikers fancy a desperately lonely stretch of rough single track which runs from Llanrydyd Wells to Tregaron, then this should suit admirably. You will pass through a brutal, wild landscape of moorland, pine forests, streams and escarpments, and as you reach the middle you will encounter a steep series of hairpins, appropriately called the Devil's Staircase. You will be covering around 20 miles where every single one will require concentration, and you are more likely to come across more sheep than people. So if you like the feeling of being in the middle of nowhere and love a challenge, then this is definitely one for you. Don't expect it to be a fast ride, and it might be preferable to tackle it on a trail bike, but the scenery makes up for everything. Whatever you ride, many a biker enjoys the run from the southern end as the hairpins are that much more fun, and there is an excellent section of road up the Abergzan Valley for a small sports bike. But adrenaline junkies should tackle the ride both ways. No one can deny that Wales opens itself to some fantastic riding routes with stunning backdrops. One of the most popular and talked about is the Black Mountain Road in Powys along the A4069. Despite it running to only 15 miles, it reaches a jaw-dropping height of 1,671 feet above sea level and is well worth ticking off your bucket list. Whichever way you look, either ahead, sideways or in your mirrors, enjoying twists, dips and rises whilst taking in the picturesque views, it is an extraordinary way to enjoy the Brecons. The Vale of Is, a long, narrow, steep-sided valley in the Black Mountains towards the eastern edge of the national park, is followed by a winding, mostly single-track paved road known as the Gospel Pass. Beyond, the land slopes steeply down to the rolling farmland of the Wye Valley, while at either side rise the adjacent, flat-topped peaks of Hay Bluff to the northeast and Tumpa to the southwest. Most of the valley is part of Monmouthshire, but the northern few miles, including the pass, are in Powys, and the ridgeline to the east, extending south from Hay Bluff, marks the boundary between Wales and England. One tradition holds that the name of the pass is a reference to a visit over 2,000 years ago by St. Paul, who crossed this part of Wales. Starting from Betws, ride towards Caernarfon on the A5, turning left onto the A4086 at Capel Curig, heading ever upward, past the Llanmimbyr and Netwylais lakes, with the option of turning right and heading over the Penwy Pass to Llanberis if you fancy either of the options of climbing Snowdon, walking or by train. Continuing on the A4086, drop down to picturesque Beige Alert, leaving on the A498 and then A4085 through ancient wooded valleys alongside whitewater streams. Turning left onto the A487, the scenery opens up, as does the road, joining the A470 past the Trasfyni Dam and hydroelectric power station and thence through Coed y Brenin Forest Park. There's some stupendous mountain biking here, if you